Welcome to Balance Boldly, the podcast where we get bold about our balance and campaign to shake the shame that stunts our growth. I'm your host, Naketa, Thigpen, balance and relationship advisor for bold women in business and a few brave men. The Balance Boldly podcast is sponsored by All About Leverage, integrates LinkedIn and social selling innovation to build power networks, open more doors, and maximize client acquisition. From on-site to virtual training programs, concierge social marketing programs, LinkedIn executive profile optimization, speaking engagements, power networking groups, and LinkedIn coaching. All About Leverage is a full-service LinkedIn and social selling resource. Learn more at allaboutleveragellc.com. This morning, I really want to have an opportunity to talk to you about the importance of a slow yes and a deliberate no. They both save you time, money, and energy, but more importantly, they save you regret. As a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, a speaker, an author, a minister, I'm invited to many things with multiple people, good people, in various different places, all across the globe. But everything that's good isn't always godly. And what I mean by that is it's not always my appointed place to be. And those are not always my appointed people to connect with. So I have to make decisions that are sometimes hard, because these could be family members that are inviting you to an upcoming baby shower, a bridal shower, or just a night on the town. These could be really good friends that you haven't talked to in forever, and you're truly excited to see them. It could even be professional partners or prospects that you want to really get an opportunity to know, where you think you could go and grow together somewhere, somehow. But sometimes it's a disaster in the making because they're a distraction, and they can bring a lot of distress. So you have to be really careful what you say yes to. Many of us overextend ourselves because we feel bad that we haven't been to a family event in, 3 months. If you're a woman in business, your schedule is probably really hectic. Even if you're not still kind of juggling the other corporate hat or nonprofit hat of having a 9 to 5 in addition to your business, your schedule is still pretty overwhelming. But that doesn't mean that you have to overextend yourself to help other people feel better about what you're doing in your life or business. So today we're going to talk about our values, the filters that rid distress, and the flow that moves you past distraction. One of the things that I'll say right up front without you having to wait is one of the best ways to infuse a filter is making sure you have the right people around you. Having a good circle of reciprocal influences, and even better, a brain trust of people that you can call at 3 a.m. that will give you the business if you're being a little bit crazy, but will also just listen to you if that's all you need. And I mean that personally and professionally. Our next guest is someone who I met exactly through that layer. Someone on my brain trust, Dr. Brandy Baldwin-Rana, who I absolutely adore. She is a brain trust advisor, she is an accountability partner, and she is a sister friend. She is all those things in one, because I know I can call her at 3 a.m. with my crazy. And for those of you who know me, you know I don't even do 3 a.m. because I am not an evening innovator. But I know I can call her if I need anything. When Brandy tells me that I need to meet someone, that I need to talk to someone, or this person or that person is a notable need to know, must know girl or guy, I'm on it 100%. Our next guest is exactly one of those people that one of my brain trust partners recommended that I talk to. Jenn Aubert is an author, an entrepreneur, and she wrote her first women entrepreneur book about revolution called Ready, Set, Launch. She explores the mindset, motivation, and behaviors of successful female entrepreneurs and the role models in their lives who have influenced them. Jenn is an author, a co-founder, and a CEO of Learn Savvy, an online community and learning platform for women business owners. She currently lives in Portland, Oregon, which I cannot wait to visit, out there with her husband and her adorable son, and she is spending her free time exploring everything her new hometown has to offer. Jenn, welcome to Balance Boldly.
I I am so excited to be here, and thank you for that amazing introduction.
You're welcome. You know, I meant every single word of it.
I know. That's why my heart is very full right now.
Oh, thank you. Jen, why don't you tell everyone just a little bit more about what you're doing with Learn Savvy and showcasing women and the book? I mean, you have a lot of stuff going on, and it is all great. So give them a little bit of perspective before we jump in.
Sure. So and I say we because I myself have a business partner who is an old dear friend of mine. Not that she's old, but we've been friends. She'd hate to hear that.
Yeah, right.
For a very long time. We actually met in high school, and we have we started Learn Savvy 2 years ago, originally as an education and business owners, and we have recently pivoted over the last several months and are now focused more on the community and rather than the education itself. And so what we're doing now is we're facilitating mastermind circles, or what other people call peer advisory groups, where women are matched with 4 or 5 other women and spend 90 days together, getting guidance, building connections, and having real accountability towards achieving whatever their biggest goal is right now. So we are super excited about really diving deep with women and getting stuff done that they need to get done rather than just taking in more and more information.
Absolutely. I love that. You know, my heart is connected to coaching circles and to you, because we've had some great conversations about the importance of accountability and how that's one of the things that's really lacking in the traditional coaching world. Is you'll get guidance, you'll get a strategic plan, maybe a blueprint or two. You'll even get held, up against the wall if you're pivoting away from it or you're wavering, but there's no true accountability built into a traditional coaching contract, if you will. So having accountability coaching circles are, really a gap filler, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, and it's peer accountability. So it's one thing to have accountability from, let's say, a coach, but to have, like you said, your brain trust, which a lot of people, find that they can, find others in their community to build a brain trust together. But I would say the majority of people aren't able to find peers and other people that they can mastermind really effectively, regularly, and consistently. So there's that aspect too that, and because you're in one, they're so incredibly invaluable, and that's why we wanted to bring that additional layer to women everywhere.
Well, they're definitely needed. I'm 100% behind you with that. So I had to ask you, you work with a lot of women, you have a partner who's a woman, you are a woman, and then you meet occasional crazy people like me who happen to be women. And sometimes there's this tad of professional entitlement that can come, not just from women, from people specifically. But with women, we have that je ne sais quoi reminder of you owe me one with certain things, even if you really don't owe me, but you just committed to something, right? Like you said you would do something for me, whether you owed it to me or not, and then I'm holding you up against the wall. And I was reading one of your blogs literally this morning. I think you titled it was a heated conversation, which I love the subject line. And it was so on point and so relevant to this moment of entitlement and the filters and values that we have or that we don't share with people. So tell everyone a little bit about that story that you mentioned in the blog this morning. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, I've been giving so much thought over the last couple of years to, I should say always, but then particularly over the last few months, about really, because we're all pressed for time, and time is that one thing that we don't get back. So we have to make the most of our time and how we spend our time. And I've been very intentional on looking at every aspect of my life and just taking a hard look and cutting things out. So I mentioned this morning that I really was excited about joining a community garden, and I did it and realized that I way overcommitted, and that even though it really did, I have these values and filters that I use, even though I got into it, I realized that it wasn't the right move for me right now. Maybe when I'm retired, sure. Not right now when I have a kindergarten at home and, a couple businesses. So, so I've been taking a really hard look at everything, relationships, obligations, responsibilities, even systems and software. I mean, everything, and saying, you know, does this really add to my life? Does it really add to my business? And, you know, and saying, okay, now I've looked at all of it. What can I get rid of? What can I take off my plate to open up space to work on the more important things? And so it was funny. I've been thinking so deeply and so much about it. And then I got a phone call 2 days ago, and I'd already written this blog post that you're alluding to. And I get a phone call from one of my sisters who's in my mastermind group. She's the one, I mean, we had kids at the same time. Like, we get it. We get one another. And she's part of my mastermind group that we meet every week virtually at 6 a.m. on a Thursday. And so we're definitely committed. And she was all wound up, and she was a little reluctant to call me, because she said, you know, I should really be grateful for this opportunity, and, you know, but oh my gosh. And I said, well, what's going on? She's like, well, you know, I hardly ever participate in a summit sort, and, you know, and she's like, I know this woman is just starting out, and, you know, I'm really happy to support a fellow entrepreneur who's starting out, because she's a few years into business, and we all get it. We know what it's like. So we're always happy to help. But, you know, the woman was and my friend gave her all the information and, you know, shared the link to the summit. But this other person was just hounding her. You know, I want to see the numbers. I want to see your open rates. And my friend's just like, what more does she want from me? Like, I've done everything I could possibly do right now. I have to move on. I have my business to work on. Like, this was just, you know, a nice thing to do, and now there's all this pressure. And at the same time, she was getting hounded by a woman that she met at a book show, who said, because she's an author, and she's like, can you look at my book and let me know right away if you have any changes or comments or questions? And Giselle's like, what? Yeah. She's like, okay, I'm happy to take it, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll get back to you. And when she was getting these messages, and has a very, very busy life, like we all do, and the woman was just like, have you read it? Have you read it? Have you read it? Can you tell me what you think? And she's just like, I'm doing you a favor, and you're hounding me? So anyway, Giselle had just one of those days where there was just a lot coming at her, and I was having similarly a lot coming at me with people who had very high expectations on things, and putting pressure on me for things that I didn't feel comfortable having pressure put on me about. So anyway, so that's why she and I started to have basically a come to Jesus conversation about, where does this fit in? You know, let's filter this through what's most important right now. You know, she was on vacation at this time, spending time with her daughter and some friends, and she's like, you know, I'm taking time away from my vacation and my daughter to, you know, deal with these people who are just hounding me about a favor, and I don't even know them. So we had a really good conversation about, you know, what's most important, and learning and reminding ourselves to say no, even when it hurts or hurt in a bit, because we want to give, we want to help other people out. But there comes a time where either you set the boundaries straight ahead and say, hey, look, I'm happy to help, but here's my part in this helping. You know, this is my timeline, not your timeline. This is my timeline. And will that suffice? And set some boundaries and expectations early on, and then filter out, you know, what doesn't make sense.
Jen, you are preaching. All right, stay. I have so much to say right there, but stay right there, Jen. We'll be right back with a word from our sponsors. This segment is brought to you by Millennial Leadership, a global advising network powered by YouAdvise.me. Millennial Leadership is engaging today's leaders for career success, one city at a time. Go to millennialleadership.youadvise.me for more information. Fresh Level Productions, a video marketing agency that helps you attract, engage, and convert prospects to clients, all with the power of video. Visit freshlevelpro.com to schedule a brainstorming session with a video marketing expert today. All right, Jenn Aubert back on Balance Boldly, breaking it down on how you are going to break those expectations by making sure that you input some boundaries from the start. Jenn, right before we went to break, you were mentioning an excellent story, a real life story, both something that you could relate to, as well as one of your power partners, your mastermind sisters that you fellowship with on a regular basis, and how we have sometimes the best intention to help other people, but because of an entitlement that they may have, that because you've said yes to something that you meant you would help, that they would overextend what that help would look like. And the example you were giving right before we went to break, well, you gave a couple, but the main one that you gave towards the end was about your friend at, what was she at, an author signing, a book signing herself, and someone asked her to review their book?
She was at a conference with fellow authors.
Oh, okay. So she's there, and someone, I'm just literally, I'm visual. So I'm looking at this, like someone just walked up like, hey, my name is Naketa. You're, a great inspiration to me. Do you mind reading my book? And you say, sure, no problem. And now I'm stalking you? That's like, it's a little special, if I must say so myself. But it goes right into something I talk about a lot on different interviews, and I know you talk about it too, because you literally said it when we had our first conversation, but you also mentioned it in your blog about, I think you call yours the value filter, as a way to figure out what you'll say yes to, as well as what you'll say no to, not just for people, but places and things as well, like the technology you choose for your business and the different avenues you go with, maybe hiring contractors or other team members. I would love to get your opinion on how you implement your value filter a little bit more, especially for those who haven't had the pleasure of reading your blog yet.
Yeah, so, it's very intentional, and I think what happens is that we're all running so fast and reacting to the world, right? We things are thrown at us, and we don't take a moment to really think about where this fits in with our life. Mm-hmm. We want to be helpful. We want to take on, you hear this, like, say yes to everything. And there's a certain level where, when you're starting out, that, it's important to take opportunities. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you have to really be intentional about how you, walk in this world. And I think having a very clear idea of what you value, what's truly important in your life. And if you keep that close by, and then what you do is you use it like a sieve or a filter. And then as opportunities come in, you say, okay, now does this, as I filtered through this funnel, does it meet all the criteria mm-hmm. that is important to me right now? So, it could be family. It could be, for us, we're in a very big bootstrapping phase. So we're looking at, we want to make sure that we're running really lean, which means, as opportunities come, or software or the new latest, coolest technology comes at us, does this make sense for where we're going? If we're trying to be lean, and run really efficiently and effectively, does this $500 a month software make sense for us?
Right.
And it's easy because you get caught up in like, oh, it's the latest thing, and it's gonna, it's gonna build our list for us for and you're like, oh my God, yes, and you're like, no. So it's having that pause, taking that pause, and going, okay, where does this really fit? And then when it comes to people, I think that's a really, really important one, to know what you value, mm-hmm. who you are. For me, it's a sense of integrity. Right. It's a sense of and this is why I just adore you and Brandy. There's a level of integrity and collaboration, and just so much heart and soul that comes through. Like, you just want to spend time with you, and that's my filter. Like, people who are really just want to serve, who want to serve at a level that is, for the people, not always coming back to themselves. Like, those are all the filters that when I look at the people that we connect with and collaborate with, who I have on my show, who I will do shows for, there's that filter of, what are my values, and does that mirror in the people that I'm working with? Because when it doesn't, let me tell you, it becomes a huge issue. And we've had to face mm-hmm. that over the last couple of years, is having, a few people who, when we dove into the relationship a little more, there was some real red flags. And now, of course, it takes longer to extract them out of your world than it does to bring them in. So to having those filters very clear in your mind and intentional, you can make sure that every decision you make is an intentional one and one that just will serve you at your highest.
I know, I 100% agree with you. I'm looking at the layers, and I'm thinking about the blog and listening to what you're saying about the value filter, like what really matters to you. And you being a woman of integrity, looking to see that mirrored in other people is a key part of the filter for you that will rid unnecessary distress. And also take away some distractions that could easily flow into the mist. Because sometimes there are good people who don't have the same core integrity or morals that you do when it comes to certain practices, right? Certain business practices or maybe even life practices that could clash if you decided to do some kind of collaborative effort at some point, even if it's a small step. Like allowing them to be a blog contributor for Learn Savvy or, being on your podcast, right? There's so many different kind of baby steps. But even with that, you want to be really clear because your brand, the brand of you, the brand of Jenn Aubert, the brand of Learn Savvy is all at stake when you allow certain people in too fast, which is why I always say a slow yes. Be slow about it. I would rather say, let me take a second to think about that and be respectful. You wouldn't want to wait 4 weeks to hear back from someone, so you shouldn't make someone else wait 4 weeks. But maybe take a day or two instead of jumping into that emotional part or aspect of the moment and say, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. Well, can you really do it? Do you really want to do it? Should you be doing it? It's all things you should ask yourself to pull back. So I agree with you completely because you could involve yourself. You could be on the other end of that, to your point a few seconds ago, where down the road, you're like, why am I in bed with this person, professionally? Yeah, that could be, oh gosh. And, I can relate that. That's a whole different podcast, right? We could be there forever with that. So I'm curious for you for, there's another side, right, Jen? There's the side of having a filter to just try to rid yourself of as much unnecessary distress and distractions as possible so that you could flow in your joy and happy place. And for a woman in business, when you're in your flow and you're producing joy, where it's just kind of fruitful from you, money will definitely come. So we know that. But there's the other side, though, where some people's filters are so thick, like there is so many lines and so many hoops almost that it feels like that you jump through because they have trust issues. So they'll say on the total opposite end of the continuum, they'll say, oh, it's just my filter, but it's really that they have so many trust issues that they're boxing themselves in instead of letting great things come through. And I'm curious about that because I know, and I'll just be completely transparent, I know in the early stages of my business, after I had been, attacked on multiple levels where, too many people were jumping through, my filter wasn't streamlined, I wasn't really sure what to look for, I didn't go to business school, I didn't have sales class, I didn't necessarily recognize all the piranhas right away, the people who said they wanted to be your friend, but they just wanted free coaching or, all that kind of stuff, or they say that they can, refer you to their connections. And, you think you're going to have like a power partnership, but they're really just trying to get connected to you and kind of drain you from everything. I didn't have that. I was very, very naive and very vulnerable when I first entered into entrepreneurship over 5 years ago. And thank God for the growth and for the pain because it allowed me to thicken my skin. But I still had to be really careful about the filter that I would now create out of that it wouldn't box me in and limit me from creating powerful partnerships with amazing people, all because I was too afraid of repeating, maybe past mistakes or letting someone in. So there's that other side to that too, where it's not even a boundary anymore. It's a box that you put yourself in. Do you have clients or have you worked with people who were struggling with that and you had to kind of coach them through that area that they were struggling with?
I wouldn't say so much in the business world as kind of the personal world, but they're kind of one and the same. And I think, when it comes to any issue of trust, it comes from a past experience, right? So, if especially if you've shut yourself down so much, and I think there's a point where you need to do a little excavating of your own personal stories. You have to figure out, where are, it's a trigger, right? So, how did this happen? How did I all of a sudden become so shut off from allowing people to come into my world? Like, my filter is not even a filter. It's like a complete dam, right? And so I think there's a level where you have to look and say, okay, why am I having issues around trust? Like, just really start asking some hard questions, and what are the stories that I'm telling myself that has led me to be so closed off? So I think there's some personal kind of work that may need to be done.
Yeah.
And then I would say too, you're going to attract the people to you if you're in a place of ease and comfort and whatever the values you want. So if you're living that value, like I said with mine, it's integrity and collaboration. When you're fully living it and you believe it and it's just part of who you are, and yet you set the boundaries that you will only allow similar people into your life, and you put that out there in a very big feeling way, you'll start to attract the people, like that I attracted you and you attracted me. Like, we're at a place where we're in that power position of knowing exactly and who we are and who we will do business with. And then the people will start to come. And also, that is almost a filter to keep people out.
Right.
So, and I think with you, maybe there was, you're at a point now where you're really confident and you know what you want and the people you're going to work with. So now probably it's a lot easier. You don't have to have that down.
Right.
But the filter just almost naturally happens.
No, I 100% agree with you. Personal development is key to professional growth, right? Like you 100% said that. And those experiences are enriching. As painful as the process was for that aspect of it, it gave me something that truly is priceless in that I don't have to think about my filter. It's very natural. I have the right people that I'm attracting, both as prospects, referral partners, power partners, brain trust, mastermind, and even just the people that I want to see go to the next level and help them any way I can, and overextend myself a little bit, without it being, the exaggerated overextension, but just to make sure that I'm giving them what I wish someone would have given me in the beginning, right? Instead of saying, well, no one helped me out, it's just doing the opposite. Givers do gain if they're being strategic about it and they're not trying to give with this underlined expectation of entitlement. I'm gonna give Jen, all these favors for the next, I don't know, I'm making up silly stuff, 6 months. And then I'm gonna come back like, so Jen, can I get $1 million loan? Remember those, 3 people that I referred to you or whatever.
That's being taught. This is the sad thing. They're using a law that is natural to us, a law of reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
And some of and I use this with air quotes and a lot of heavy sarcasm, the gurus out there are teaching to manipulate the law of reciprocity.
Yes, you better preach.
It's a hot topic for me, sister, let me tell you, because it drives me crazy, because it is a natural law, and there's a lot of natural laws out there that get a bit exploited, and this one is a shame, because I think it's naturally built into who we are as people, and especially as women. Like, how it is, like, if you give a compliment, instantly, if you meet a woman, the woman will, will deflect it and give a compliment back. Like,
right.
we're all about giving and receiving at that level. And yet it's being taught to give because you will ask, and that ask will be given back to you because you have used this law of reciprocity. So there's a lot of people out there who are, it's a phony ask, and it drives me crazy.
I'm with you 100% of the way. I have so many challenges with this, and we'll have to, Jen, I'm going to have you back on the show, because I have this whole other question. Someone just asked me on a live radio show a few weeks ago about pay to play, and that's a whole nother element of it. So we'll come back to that at another time. For all the women in business who are listening to Balance Boldly right now, if you have not encountered that element, I'm positive that you will on some level, and we'll definitely continue that conversation between the two of us on one of our podcasts. It's definitely happening. It's going down. So Jenn, before we close out, I just want to know, how can people connect with you? Because you have these amazing coaching circles that I know started, but you're going to be recruiting soon for a new round, because I think this circle is closed, right?
This one's closed, but we start accepting applications in December for a January start. So it's a great way to kick off the year.
Absolutely. And where else can they find you? You know, I'm about to tell all your business, but I'm trying to let you do it.
Oh, you can freely do it, but you can find me at learnsavvy.co and also on Twitter and Facebook. Those are our big places where we play at Learn, and the handle is just Learn Savvy, so it's pretty easy.
That's awesome. I just wanted to remind everyone about this incredible book. That was me doing hint, that Jenn Aubert has authored. Women Entrepreneur Revolution, Ready, Set, Launch. You have to pick it up. She talks about everything that we were talking about: the mindset, the motivation, the behaviors of a successful female entrepreneur. Make sure that you catch that. Jenn, I have to thank you so much, as always, for being amazing, being who you are, being a woman of integrity and truth, and having your life be a balanced representation of where you are and where you're growing. I'm so pleased that you made time for us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Jenn, don't go anywhere. For our Balance Boldly listeners, of course, I have to thank you for taking a moment out of your day to allow me to plant positive seeds in your life, relationships, and business. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and share this podcast. It helps ensure that we'll continue to serve all the bold and brave and let them have access to additional valuable balance tools, just like what you heard today with myself, Naketa Thigpen, and Jenn Aubert, who is, again, highlights amazing. Once again, I'd like to give a quick small shout out to our sponsors from earlier. If you're not already a member, come on over and join the community of investors who have decided to seed into themselves and balance boldly. Go to thigpro.com for more information. For contact information on our guest, Jenn Aubert, and all of her amazingness, including a direct link to her book, make sure you click either next to or below the episode. We know it shows up differently on iTunes and Stitcher and Spreaker and all the many places that you have found us, but our power partners and sponsors are there to help you thrive. If you have any questions about anything that went on today, just feel free to send me a quick email. Just shoot me something at asknaketa@thigpro.com or on Twitter, which is my favorite place to play, at Balance Boldly. Remember to look forward to the opportunity of a deliberate no and make room to participate in your yes. That is how you create the first step in developing your filters, so you're not flowing into distraction, but you're thriving into the space you need to be. With intention, enjoy the balance of your day and do it boldly.